Talk about how brains actually learn how to read. When I first started teaching 20-ish years ago, I assumed that it was largely a visual activity. You are using your eyes to read a word, you practice seeing that word over and over again enough times, and then eventually you take the word and you store it away in this magical filing cabinet you have in your brain that you can pull out and find again whenever you see the word the when you're reading a book later. Well, actually, I was wrong, and not just a little bit wrong. I was really, really wrong, because what students are actually doing when they're learning how to read is they are activating their listening part of the brain. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, Malia, that's crazy, because I am not, students read silently all the time. There's no listening going on, but actually there is. Are reading, what they're doing is using their eyes to find letter combinations, and then they go to their brain, their filing cabinet of sounds that they know those letter combinations make, and they're saying them out loud in their head. So it's almost like they are hearing or listening to an audiobook that they can follow along with. So they're keeping track of the audiobook that they hear in their head, and they are making sense of it so that they can then answer reading comprehension questions at the end, for example. Well, here's the problem. If the most of the work that's going into reading has to do with listening to the sounds that these letter combinations make, it is absolutely critical that students have two things. Number one, they need to have a really rock solid foundation of phonics skills. And number two, they need to have a rock solid foundation of phonemic awareness. This is really important because we need students to be able to see letters and combinations of letters on a page, and then be able to quickly match those letters that they're seeing to the sounds that they make. So we want to teach them, for example, that SH makes the sh sound. And when you add a silent E at the end of a word, like changing the word kit to kite, that silent E is changing the sound that the vowel makes. So we need to teach students the rules of phonics. The second piece, though, is phonemic awareness, and that is really about having students be able to combine those letter sounds that they're seeing on the page in different ways very quickly, so they can process the sounds and make sense of them in their brains, so that they can get that really fluent audiobook going on in their head. This is a lot, but I hope it makes sense. This is just scratching the surface. It's really important that we start to think about reading as a listening activity rather than a visual activity. And we're going to talk about this in a whole lot of depth during the 5-day Science of Reading in Action bootcamp that I am kicking off next Sunday, March 20th. So if you haven't already grabbed your spot, definitely do that. We're going to talk about phonics. We're going to dive into phonemic awareness, talk about phonological awareness, talk about the 5 core skills that all fluent readers need to learn. And I'm going to give you some really easy to implement, actionable activities so you can start doing all of the stuff that has to happen in your classroom the very next day, because there's just nothing worse than hearing theories and concepts and then not knowing where to go next. So make sure to grab your spot. I am excited to geek out with you.